Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Fans, we got a little over a week left in October, and today we are going to talk the 1990 horror TV miniseries, not necessarily a movie. It was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, came out in 1990, got a TV 14 rating, and over the 2 parts, it was 3 hours and 12 minutes. And the story, most everybody's familiar with it. By IMDb summarizes it as: in 1960, a group of social outcasts who are bullied by a gang of greasers led by Harry Bowers are also tormented by an evil demon who can shapeshift into a clown and feed on children's fears and kill them. After defeating the demonic clown as kids, it resurfaces 30 years later, and they must finish it off as adults once again. So part 1 is really just the calls to everyone, and it shows both their history as a group of friends, and then you see individually where they are in the present, and ends on Stan's suicide, which was a heavy end to night 1. And then in round 2, I forgot about the scene with the old lady at Bev Marsh's house. I preferred the newer run of that. The main actors in this movie, and we got a lot of repeat names because you're going to have the adult actors and then the children that played them. So Richard Thomas played Bill, Tim Reed played Mike, Annette O'Toole, Beverly, Harry Anderson, Richie, Dennis Christopher, Eddie, Richard Marouse, Stan, John Ritter, Ben, Tim Curry as the iconic Pennywise, Jonathan Brandis played young Bill, Brandon Crane played young Ben, Adam Fenizel played young Eddie. I nailed that name. Seth Green played young Richie. Ben Heller played young Stan. Emily Perkins played young Beverly. Marlon Taylor played young Mike. Olivia Hussey played Audra Denbrough. And Sheila Moore played Mrs. Kasprak. Now, easily, Tim Curry played by far one of the creepiest horror villains in the history of horror movies. And we'll get to what I think about Bill Skarsgård on tomorrow's episode, where we're going to be putting the 2 remade It movies, combining them into one and discussing them like that. This is a classic movie, was a 2-night miniseries as opposed to a movie. And when you're ending with Stan like that at the end of night 1, that is a wild cliffhanger, and that's going to bring people back. And what always brings people back is our mid-show reads, because we are brought to you by The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 1, written by Vinnie Berry, available at WrestleVille.com, where you can also get Lance by Chance, Wrestling is a Von Erich. Now, all the following books I'm going to read are available on Amazon, and they are Super Vows and Pas de Deux, written by friend of the show, Kevin Kelton. I'll Be Here All Week and All That's Left, written by Ward Anderson, as well as his stand-up special. Blood and Fire, the unbelievable real-life story of wrestling's original Sheik, written by Brian R. Solomon. How Not to Suck at Comedy, written by Pat Oates. Matt Memories, written by John Arezzi and Greg Oliver. The great people over at Connecticut People Records. If you're an artist in Connecticut looking for studio time, check them out. And also check out our wrestling commentary home of New Heights Wrestling, where the man called Dave and I do a little Florida independent action. Now we're going to end on the fun facts of this movie, as we always do. Tim Curry was reluctant to take the role of Pennywise initially because he didn't relish the thought of being buried under so much makeup. When he played Darkness in Legend, it was a difficult and demanding role, and the hour in makeup was still fresh in his mind. To compromise, writer and director Tommy Lee Wallace minimized the amount of makeup on Curry, and a lot wasn't necessary anyway because Curry's performance was so strong. And his portrayal of Pennywise, I feel like, is burned into like cinema history. And Bill Skarsgård made a run at it in the new one. And like I said, we'll discuss that tomorrow. Now, all of the cast members have fond memories of working in the miniseries, saying it was one of the best experiences of their lives on the DVD commentary. This was mere 27 years later when all of the kids who worked on the It remake called the 3-month shoot the best summer of their lives and claimed that they were all best friends on screen and in real life. Now, the ending of the novel included the appearance of the turtle, which was its natural enemy and created the universe. When John Ritter asked about the turtle's appearance in the miniseries, the studio asked if he was crazy, and that was an important part of the books that wasn't dealt with. Tommy Lee Wallace is a former protege of John Carpenter. This miniseries paid homage to Carpenter movies like The Fog and Halloween. Now, most of Stephen King's books take place in Bangor, Maine, and in a fictionalized town. The book was written and finished in the real Bangor. Sometimes they go to Derry, Maine. Roddy McDowall and Malcolm McDowell were originally considered for the role of Pennywise, and it's interesting to think what Pennywise would have turned out like had Tim Curry not been playing him. And my final fact for the day is Stephen King allowed a lot of flexibility when it came to rewriting much of the novel. So that was it. I mean, I would highly recommend it. It got a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's just a classic piece of filmmaking. Now, like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you can find us. Like the video. Let us know in the comments any horror movies that you would like us to cover. We're running out of time. And I've still got a full slate, but if there's anything you'd like to get in there, you'd like to hear my opinions on, throw it in the comments and, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell so you can stay updated on whenever we come out with an interview. Now, tomorrow on Sunday, the 23rd, we're going to be doing the It remake. Now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, that's the 24th, 25th, and 26th. We're going to be doing The Conjuring, The Conjuring 2, and The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And then we're going to be rounding out the month with Thursday the 27th, Dracula. Friday the 28th, Frankenstein. Saturday the 29th, Wolfman. We're getting 3 classics in there. Then we're going to jump back to the 70s for Sunday the 30th. And that'll be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, Monday the 31st, I've got a little surprise cooked up. Plans have changed as time's gone on, but we will be bringing you a great Halloween send-off to this horror movie, marathon we've been on, getting in 31 in 31 days. I've talked about how much of a challenge it is, but it's also been interesting because I've been able to check out some movies I haven't seen, revisit some classics, and then just get in that spooky season mood for Halloween. So thank you for joining us, and I will see you again tomorrow for